I had someone start in my department, and they didn't last. They lasted about 4 days. He's got the wrong attitude. Forget every skill set he has.
But to win at high jump, you need one person who can jump 7 feet, not 7 people who can jump 1 foot. Some jobs won't get done by throwing more people at them. These tasks require talent more than numbers. Be careful that there's not team players in your company. They're not 7-foot jumpers. They're appearing to be. You thought they were, and they're being covered by a great team who's covering for them. Well, trust me, your team knows, right?
Why would we ever hire one guy for $80,000 if we could hire 2 for $40? Was what they were told. Such a small mindset. It's the exact opposite of 7-foot jumpers. You're thinking like a survivalist mindset. In reality, you want the good guys. If you could hire, 5 salesmen to do $2 million a year, or you could hire one to do $10 million every year, you're hiring the one. It's better in every single way.
Yeah.
Well, we're back here on The Forge. It's good to be back here with my 2 guests and my 2 brothers, my business partners, Darren and Kyle this morning. Glad to be back with you guys this morning. A lot of emotion this morning already. We've been hammering through some other things this morning as we dive into the business and what all is happening today in the company. A lot happening, and like many of our listeners, things are busy, things are crazy, and from most people I talk to in the trades, they are busy, and so I think our listeners will identify with that. And every day we're wrestling through the things that are hot and things that are important. And so today's no exception. Today we're talking about hiring 7-foot jumpers, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that means as we go forward. But really, what it is, it's about bringing talent in to our company, and we work really, really hard on the culture piece over the last 3 or 4 years. But talent and hiring is the number one thing on our minds right now. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, I would say maybe I'd put processes in front of that. But sure. Yeah, right there.
Right. The goal of bringing good and the right people, the good team members on our team is super important to me, and I think it is to all of us. We see the capacity issues ahead of us. We see the fact that we have thousands and thousands of man hours sold to produce in the next number of months, and it's gonna be hard to get there.
Yeah. We need a lot more manpower. So yes, talent. Getting people hired in is the number one thing for us. But like last week, I had someone start in my department, and they didn't last. They lasted about 4 days.
4 days. Nice.
4 days. So, and that wasn't even, it was just their communication, and it was just unfortunate, but the true colors showed pretty quick.
Yeah. So hiring good team players has just become more and more important. Even I would say that we're raising the bar more than we even did 2 years ago and 5 years ago. We're saying, what does it look like to get A players and the best team players on our team, and today we're going to use the analogy of raising the bar. What does that come from? It comes from high jump, and I've never even thought about that until now. So we're calling this high jump analogy of 7-foot jumpers. We'll dive into more into that in a bit here, but that's what's on my mind this morning is how do we get more team players on our team? And so typically in the past 7 years or so, we've read the book from Pat Lencioni, Ideal Team Player. That's kind of been our deal. We talk about hungry, humble, and smart. So tell us a little bit, Kyle. What does hungry mean to you? How would you describe what hungry means to you? The number, core value number one from Pat Lencioni for a good team member.
Yeah, hungry is pretty easily defined in my head as somebody that brings energy.
Okay.
Got to bring energy. Some people are, when you walk into the room, they are energy suckers. They just suck it right out of the room. And some people bring energy into the room.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that. There's always, it's not just life of the party. It's about a common mission. You know.
Sure.
And so when somebody walks in the room, I think that a hunger is wanting to do more, go all out. Some people mailing it in, I think, is the opposite of hunger.
Sure.
Mailing it in, we're doing this here, we're doing that there, and yep, that's my job. And hunger is, I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to surprise, delight, that kind of thing.
Agreed. So the second part of that is humility and humble. And actually, humility is one of our 10 core values at PWI. We talk about all the time. Darren, what does humble mean to you? And since you're maybe a good role model of humility, as we discussed many times, Darren really is the role model of humility. What does that mean to you? Specifically about other team members think about team members on your team that truly are humble. What does that mean to you?
Do you have any actually?
Team members, not as humble as me, but there's some that are close.
Yeah.
No. So I want to comment first on the hungry part. So like my and I'll go into the humble, but the hungry part is like what I would say is I experienced this yesterday. Like hungry, I would say how I define hungry is seeking out ownership and not trying to sidestep away from it. It's like when here's a problem. And like, so someone that dives in, it wants to be smarter and it's smarter than you in it. And so just
even wants to like wrestle with you with it. Like
wants to prove me wrong.
Yeah, sure.
That's great. Cause this morning, yesterday I had a problem on a calculation that I was running. I was running into issues. So I called one of my team members and first I called some of the other team members and they were like, well, hey, once you get it figured out, let me know and we'll go on. The next team member I called, who's really smart too, and he said, and he dove in, and this morning at 5:30, I got a text explaining what I did wrong in my calculation, and he figured it all out, and he because he dove in and wanted to show ownership. So the humble part
how does
of
that play into that right there?
Well, I always tell my team one of our core values is being humble, but I do like a competitive nature. In other words. Like it's not about your own credit, But what I'm saying is though is that you want to have a competitiveness for the best person, for the best answer to win.
Yeah.
And so if I'm VP of engineering, and this morning one of my other team members caught a mistake I had made, and turns out the problem I thought I had wasn't as bad as I thought it was. All this stuff, but he caught something I did wrong. Sure. But only because he was competitive enough to prove me wrong. So it's not just being humble is not. It's not about like, well, I don't want to,
rock the boat or
like the solution the best solution has to win. It doesn't mean you have to be arrogant afterwards, but it is okay to have a little bit of competitive edge.
Agreed. We always say that humility is about, not caring who gets the credit. I think Harry S. Truman said, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. And I think we, for the most part, us three brothers are pretty competitive. We always want to say that, that was my idea, it was your idea. It's kind of fun banter that we do. But truly, I just don't really give a hoot. I think when Darren, I think the older I get, I've grown in that a little bit. My dad always told me, you don't have to win, Ryan. You don't have to win every war. And he's right. He was right. And so, right now, I'm like, Darren will bring a thing to me. He said, we're working on this here. I said, that looks stupid. Like I don't have the better answer, but that's not good enough. You're better than that. You're smarter than that. That's not cool. Our products look better than that. And so Darren comes back. He's always frustrated. Like, man, I thought I had a plan here. Comes back a day later. It's almost always better, Darren. It is. So I don't care that he wasn't. I don't care that I won that war. It's just like I think we challenge each other when we're hungry and we're driven and we're passionate to grow. So I think it's all about Matt talks a lot about this on our team. But Matt's always worried about he's reminded me a few times in the last couple of weeks, like, what are we serving? Matt's our ops guy. How does this serve the customer? And so, like, when you're not hungry and you're not humble, the customer is one that that suffers. The customer gets a crappy product, a less than stellar design, and it doesn't get it on time probably when you don't have hungry and humble people. Kyle.
I was just thinking about flashback to my 10th grade geometry teacher, and I get into a lot of arguments with her and with other people in the class, and then she told me.
Darren, you find that hard to believe, hard to imagine? Kyle arguing,
stretching it,
crazy. One of the things that she told me too is the exact same thing. Kyle, you don't always have to be right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I told her, I said,
words of wisdom.
I told her, I said, I don't necessarily want to be right. I want you to prove that I'm wrong. Mm. And I'm not saying, and so back to kind of what Darren's saying is like, I think that people, strong personalities, like we all three have very strong personalities. Obviously, anybody that's ever met us, but the thing with that is that I actually love when I'm proven wrong. I actually love it.
Yeah.
But I want you to prove it. And people that we're closest to in the company and even just outside friend circles and stuff like that, it's it's very fun to go at it and figure out and get to the bottom of something. People that just lay over, they just flop over and say, yeah, I guess, well, you're going to win because we're debating here. We're getting to the best solution. If we all just say, the first thing you said is the correct answer, that's bad.
Yeah.
No one won. The customer for sure didn't win there.
Example of that, I could give you a lot of examples, both at PWI here and boards I've served on, where I went in 100% convinced I was right. Mm-hmm. And one of those examples is last November at our 3-day offsite. I was pretty convinced that we needed a new corporate office, and we needed it like as early as this year. And so this is back last fall. I went in there. We spent time and energy to present this thing, and Darren and Kyle had not even seen this yet. But it was probably a $5 million office expansion with a customer experience center, which we all want to do. We want to do this. But I went in there saying, we're out of office space, and we are, and we've made temporary solutions between then and now to take care of that. But the whole goal was there. I did a really, really nice presentation. We had an architect involved. It was beautiful. I was super jacked about it, and unanimously the entire team was against me. They all said
against the timing.
Yeah,
of it.
right. Yeah, against the timing. Sure. They were like, and by the time that I heard you guys all out and the other 7 team members around the table, I knew you were right. I knew that it was too early, and I honestly felt great about it. I knew that the right idea had won, and had you guys not spoken up, right. we would not have 80,000 square foot going up vertical in a few weeks now. Right. They're pouring concrete. It's happening, and so. The right idea must win. It takes humility. It takes hunger to get there.
And I agree with that 100%. Like when I'm with my team and we're discussing if it's just last week I was talking about a partner ring system and how it's going to work with different components and receiving versus final unique part numbers, all this just system stuff, and if there's no back and forth. I agree with Kyle 100%. I'm gonna fight my way the whole way, and I need guys to fight back. Yeah. Because if they're just like, well, yeah. Then you literally did not shake it down to
sure. I think there's a point where we fail as the way that we're made up as 99 DIs on the disc profile is that we fight too long, too hard. Sometimes it's over. They're right. Let it go. Let's let it go. And that also takes humility to say, I don't need to win. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe my idea is lame. Maybe your idea is better than mine, whatever. And I know that the wrestling is important, but after 37 minutes of it, it probably is time to stop.
The second hour, you probably put
sure. Second hour is probably too much. The third part of what Pat Lincioni talks about in the ideal team player is so it's hungry, humble, and then it's smart. And smart. I've always wrestled with the word smart. What does he mean? And he explains it well in the book. But what does that mean to our listeners, to us in the company here? And I think the way I explain it is just somebody who's emotionally good with people. He's self-aware. He's able to connect and communicate with other people. He's smart with how he deals with customers and vendors and employees and all that. What do you guys want to add to that? How does that is that a good definition to you guys? When you guys think of somebody who's smart as a team player, what does that look like to you guys? Darren?
It varies. It really varies to me depending on the position. To me, like a smart engineer, is going to have different. Is going to have a lot of different characteristics than a smart salesman. I'm just saying, so when I've sat in lots of teams meetings with engineers and with our sales guys and different things, and I've seen good and definitely have seen bad. This is not. So a smart salesman is going to know when to talk. Yeah. A smart salesman is going to know when to fill in and when to people just want to hear you talk. Now engineers are kind of. It's pretty well known, widely known that engineers are just kind of different. They
lack personalities.
They can. But a smart salesman is going to use words. They want to. People often customers have already seen approval drawings. They're just this meeting. This last meeting is just kind of they're just trying to see what is PWI about. What are you guys doing? And if you say no words, they're not learning anything more about you.
Yeah, and those team members work for Kyle, and Kyle's been working with his team to get that to happen. It's kind of crazy.
We have a lot of great ones too. It's not.
We have great team members, but there are some of our sales guys that could probably use a few more words than they do, and Kyle tries to pair them up often, in the right scenarios to have, if there's a more of a bit of a soft-spoken salesperson who's more of an account manager who's just serving the customer, and we're trying to close a big deal, sometimes you need somebody to say a few more words than that. Is that right? Is that right, Kyle?
And also engineers too. I mean, like there's a lot of times when it's clearly an engineering question. Okay, like hey, is this runway deflection correct? Well, that's clearly an engineering question.
Yeah.
And so they're looking for a 2 minute make me feel good, and the engineer says, yeah, that's correct. That does not communicate any confidence.
Yeah, agreed.
There's so much to talking and instilling confidence and that kind of thing. But we're talking about being smart, right?
Yeah.
In general, Darren said is true. It's very different for different positions, very different, drastically. But I think that one thing that I think, some people struggle in is always bringing their A game in, like what they can actually do. They're and some of that is limited by leaders. I think that's probably one thing that we all struggle in pretty bad is letting our guys flourish, go full tilt, because we're worried that they don't totally have it figured out, we kind of cap them sometimes on what they can do. Where if we said, hey, this is your baby, it's completely on you, have fun, that they might do a better job. You know what I mean?
Sure. You're saying we're control. Not always. Some of our leaders are control freaks a bit. Is what you're saying?
I was talking about us three, just kind of not letting people go fully, and it's because there's that lack of trust, or confidence in it getting done right. But what I think is smart people, smart players, okay, are going to bring their A-level game every day, and they're going to show that their boss, their leader, whoever, they're going to show them that they can be trusted. And they're going to be, you can count on me.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Dependability, I think, kind of goes into the smart category too.
This segues right into the 7-foot jumpers that we're referring to now, Kyle. I think that's a great segue to where we're going. And so, Braxton, did you do any research at all on the Olympic high jump? Olympic high jump. What the if you could find that in the meantime, yell it out when you find it. But basically, the Olympic high jump's a really big deal, and you watch those guys jump. It's absolutely incredible how high. I mean, they're just humans. They're just dudes that are jumping up in the air and crossing. But it's somewhere around the 7-foot mark, which is 84 inches. Imagine jumping over your head a foot. Right? And so it's absolutely incredible. So, but. Just recently, I got introduced to this idea from John Maxwell last year, and just it's incredible analogy of just what it looks like to be a 7-foot jumper. There it is. Thanks, Braxton. So the men's Olympic record is by Charles Austin, which is a USA guy, which is 7 foot 10 inches. So we call it 7-foot jumpers. We should really just change it to an 8-foot jumper now, and that was in '96 at the Atlanta Games. So thank you for finding that. That's great. So you picture. So now I'm not tall. I'm 6 foot approximately, and so now it's almost 2 foot above my head. Kyle will be 4 foot above your head, right?
No,
so, sure. So
I think an inch taller than me.
So essentially, I want to dive into the 7-foot jumper analogy now, and talking about what a 7-foot jumper looks like. So I was just blown away by this analogy, and I'm going to read this. I'm just going to read this verbatim here so I get this right. But here's basically the rule that Maxwell talked about last year at an event I was at, and just really kind of brought this back to our team. We're using this heavily now in our language. But to win at high jump, you need one person who can jump 7 feet, not 7 people who can jump 1 foot. Some jobs won't get done by throwing more people at them. These tasks require talent more than numbers. The high jump rule requires the extraordinary talent of one person, not the mediocre talent of many. And so I just, mic drop there when I first heard that. I was like, that is so true. And so I want to tie this together with our ideal team player thing. And so we've all seen team members in the past who are team. Okay. And in fact, they're not doing anything. They're not doing jack squat themselves. It's all about team. Our team is killing it. Our team's crushing it. And they're really, the people that talk about the team the most are the ones who are just along for the ride at times. It seems.
They love to collaborate.
They love to collaborate, and let's let's all get together and we'll figure this out as a team. And you know what the real studs do? They just freaking go jump over the pole. That's what the bar's at 7'10". They just freaking jump over it. Those are the guys, Kyle. Those are the guys you can trust. So when you're not a 7-foot jumper, I can't really trust you to say, go buy all that steel, go buy those hoists, go whatever it is, go meet and hire 10 new team members because I trust you to do a good job to hire whatever that. There's positions all over the company, that are happening every day. So let's talk about that for a minute here. The difference between a really good team player and then individual studs who are killing it, who we're not calling 7-foot jumpers. Kyle, take it from there for a minute.
Well, I would think back of two different examples I'll give from the local RV industry.
Okay.
And there's two examples that are very similar to each other. One was a company that no longer exists, but just I don't want to say any names, but basically they had made an example that their one plant they could run these units. They were running the exact same units at a plant in Elkhart, and they were running the exact same units in a plant in LaGrange. Okay, and both those are cities in Indiana here, and they said that the exact same unit running down the line would take them half the time in man labor hours in LaGrange versus Elkhart, and the quality was better in LaGrange.
Wow,
at being run twice as fast, and so what's crazy about that is it's like well, obviously you take that plant because there's less people there. And they're pumping out more units at better quality. It's not even a thought, right? Yeah. But those guys also should get paid a lot more, and they are, because they're getting paid piece rate and all that stuff. Okay. Second example, it's another company that's local to us that that was a private company and got purchased by a publicly traded company. Okay. And one of the comments that were made during that transition period when this publicly traded big dog company came in and told everybody in this privately held company how to do their jobs and whatever. One of the comments that was made was just so funny. Was they had a lot of guys there making $80,000 a year. Okay, and these guys they didn't have enough of them. Okay, and then one of the comments that the big corporation made was, "Why would we ever hire one guy for $80,000 if we could hire two for $40?" Was what they were told. And it
what
was
a small mindset.
It was such a small mindset. It's the exact opposite of 7-foot jumpers. Thinking you're thinking like a survivalist mindset where you're like, if I can just squeeze, what if those guys do a little bit better? In reality, you want the good guys. You want anybody. Everybody knows that if you could hire 5 salesmen to do $2 million a year, or you could hire one to do $10 million every year, you're hiring the one. It's better in every single way.
Yeah.
And there's probably some caveats here and there to that kind of discussion, but that's what I think of. I think of people that are going to set the bar. If that person that's making $80,000 is running around, he's going to attract other people that are running around. You drag the whole company down by low performers.
Yeah, you do.
And it sets that bar extremely low.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Darren, you want to add anything to that at all?
Yeah, and I just want to say it's not like the whole 7-foot jumper thing is not like we're talking about only the top tier salesman or the most experienced engineer or the most experienced executive or something like that. It can be at any trade level. It's not. I mean, it's not necessarily where you're at in your company or you can be a 7-foot jumper and be a plumber. And you're out on and you're not even the foreman. You're not even the foreman necessarily.
Yeah,
100%. Like there's guys. It does not mean a 7-foot jumper does not mean you have the most people underneath you and you're the best manager. Some 7-foot jumpers are the best plumber and they can get more pipe installed in one day, or they can run more run more electrical lines, conduits, and they just own it and kill it.
Yeah,
and that goes to promoting people out of their
promote people out of their up into their incompetency.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean how many people you have working for you. It's about how much you're getting done in the role that you're in.
I would say it's leadership, because you're exemplifying. People are following you. If you're a 7-foot jumper, people are following you. Maybe not in role or in title, but it's absolutely people are looking at you saying, "Man, he's the best. Like he's the best welder we have. He's the best conduit runner that we have. He's the best. He's the best maintenance guy who's fixing lights. This morning I was in here in the studio, and they were running, Cat 6 cable down into the studio for a better connection in the studio. That all happened this morning. They're good. Jerry and his helper were here. Can't remember his name, and they were fixing up and helping Braxton, the producer over here, get a better connection to his computer. They're 7-foot jumpers, and so the other thing that gets used is the difference between A and B and C players, and that's kind of thrown out there a lot. We're calling a 7-foot jumper an A player, right? A person who's worthy of following, and we give team spirit awards to our team members who display this kind of these values, humility, integrity, and a sense of urgency as they're working. So that's what I look at it as a 7-foot jumper, and I like the idea. I guess what the big in my head, the big explosion in my head was just this idea that you literally cannot win. Like, that's probably the big thing for me, that you literally cannot win the Olympics with 7 guys who can jump 1 foot. You can't do it. Like, there is some jobs that just cannot be done, and I'm shifting a bit and saying, I would argue, I have some questions for you guys to ask you guys here, but I would argue that most jobs, I'm flipping to I think it's more like most jobs. Like why do you want a C player out there who is taking the level down? Why do you want a C player out there who's just surviving? He's just keeping his job, who's depending on the team to support him and make him look good. And at the end of the day, hey, good job, team. We're all a team. And so, there's a team spirit, but how much better would it be if all of those were jumping 7 to 8 feet? And so I don't know if I'm asking for too much. Maybe I am, but I'll start with the question to Darren here on this one here. But what keeps a B player in your mind? Like what keeps a B player from becoming an A player to you?
Well, it's your. I always tell when I'm hiring people, I always say, I don't hire you on what you know. I hire you on your ability to learn. Are you a dry sponge or are you a wet sponge? Sure. And so if you're, a dry sponge is just soaking up everything you can and just taking it all in and just trying to learn as fast as you can. A wet sponge is like, what do I have to do to do the bare minimum to get my job done? So I think development of employee development is huge. I mean, obviously we do that. We will focus on that a lot. Yeah. So can a B player go to an A? Yes, it can. But after year 3, probably not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kyle, what are the biggest weaknesses in your mind from someone becoming a 7-foot jumper, as we call it now? Or you could say a B to an A. But what are the biggest weaknesses? What are the things that you see glaring in who they are as people, as team members? Either at PBY, at things you've seen around in your travels, like what's the biggest weaknesses you see?
I'll start there by saying, I think that another thing that's really important is not to answer your question right off the bat. What's also really important is 7-foot jumpers. Why they're amazing is because they elevate people around them, and we said that kind of before, but. One thing I just put in, I got 2 sales managers below me, Kyle and Tyler. They do a great job. I told them, I gave them a list of like hiring and training guidelines. And just recently, about 6 months ago, I realized what was happening is when we kind of had guys, new guys hired, and then we'd have them shadow somebody else. Okay. And we just kind of picked the most open guy, go shadow that guy. Okay. Yeah. And it was causing some serious problems because people were modeling what they thought was the way to do it, and it was kind of not the best way.
A B or C level?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was just not the way we do it, the way we're supposed to do things, and kind of old school thought of how to do things, whatever. And so we made a rule said we will only have people shadow. We would only have people shadow like the best people in the department. So like maybe the top 10%, top 10 or 20% of the department is the only people that are allowed to be shadowed. You can't shadow a medium level player, and so when you're training, you're going to watch the best guy do it, and you need to have best guys to be able to do that, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm saying is, I think leaders generally they are worried about saying that, like, well, if I say this guy's the best guy or he's doing it exactly the way we wanted to do it, that's kind of a problem because you make the other guys feel bad. No. You have to raise them up.
Yeah.
You just say, this is how we want it actually done.
See Bob over here. Bob's killing it.
Bob's killing it. You say, you praise publicly and you critique in private. But you is so important for other people to know that the leaders think this is the way we want it done. And so anyway, and then what was your question again?
Well,
I wanted to say
let
that.
me just throw in there. Yes, I'll get there. But I just want to say again, make sure to our listeners here in our audience that you are making a big deal about that. We every 5 times a year we give out a Team Spirit Award, and we're not hiding that. It's on the freaking wall. Every time you go through out the production plant from the bistro to production, there's 30 plaques on the wall with their photo there. They get $1,000 cash. They get $100 to our cafeteria, to our bistro. Like it's like we make a big deal about it, and we say because that's the guy that we want you all to follow. We look at the core values. We're saying this is it. He's a stud. He's freaking killing it. Follow him. And so like don't shy away. I don't think we do shy away from that. So I'm not sure where that theory came from in your department, but I don't know that we've ever felt that. We celebrate the people who are doing it well. And if that makes some other people feel a little less than, suck it up, buttercup. That's how it is.
That should be motivation for them.
Yeah, 100%. So my question for you is like, what are the biggest weaknesses, Kyle, that like character traits, weaknesses that are keeping somebody from becoming, an A player or a 7-foot jumper, as we're talking about? What's a weakness that you see, like they just don't get this or that or whatever that is? What are some things you see?
Yeah, I think, I'm just talking kind of off of, my department and that kind of thing, but I think sometimes it's a little bit of commitment, a commitment to their job. Maybe this is this is a job that I'll do for a couple of years and I'll go see if something else better comes up and whatever. And, I can never get to this level, or I could never, get a raise, or I could never get a new promotion or whatever, because this is just where I'm at. And they just kind of maintain, you know what I mean? And I think that the best, what usually is keeping A players or B players from becoming A's is them asking for the A's how to get there. It's
good.
And their leaders. So like it's so the leaders can often see. It's so funny. I talk to guys all the time. I say it's so easy to see when you're not in it. Like if you're a leader, you're blind to lots of things. But one thing you can see is who's doing well, who's not. It just kind of becomes clear because you can see all the inside conversations. You just know what's going on. You say, wow, this guy's doing well, this guy's not. Sometimes you miss that. Sometimes you don't have perfect lens through that. But what I'm trying to say is it's crazy what a little bit of humility, being humble here, in this humble, hungry, smart, going up to an A level, like, hey, how'd you do it that well? Like you walked into the room, I watched you. I was shadowing you. You walked in there. You said this. You said that. How did you know that stuff? And how do you go about that? What can I do better? Can I sit in your office and listen for an hour with you on a phone call just to kind of hear what you're doing? You know what's crazy?
That would truly be humble right
there. How you do it? Yeah.
There's not one sales manager or leader anywhere that would stop their guys from trying to learn from somebody better than them ever. But people are scared to ask that. People are scared to do that. It's like,
is that a lack of humility?
Because I'm saying this guy actually does better than me, because everybody, even a fool, is right in their own mind. As the Bible says, it's like you're always going to think, I know the way to I know the best way to do it. And
and yet this guy's numbers over here and his customer satisfaction, whatever, is far exceeding. But it's sometimes, how are we that blind, right?
It's not always that like the guy you're talking about is the smartest. What you're saying is he's humble enough to know his limitations and try to learn.
How many times have we seen? I'm just literally, this is coming to my mind right now. Just this idea that how many team players do we have on our team right now who are 7-foot jumpers who weren't, and they made it from possibly even a C to a B and a B to an A, like a lot. Like there's a lot of guys that have been there for a decade or more, and even shorter, where they just rose to the top. I mean,
I'd say probably
across the departments. We're like 3 years ago, we were like, I don't know if he's going to make it around the corner, and all of a sudden we're like, it's almost like they woke up And I'll just use Adam's story. Adam's our not VP, he's the director of manufacturing, director of production.
That's so funny. Yesterday, I literally called him VP of production by accident.
Did you?
That's just funny saying.
Yeah. Watch your mouth there. No, we're titles aren't a huge deal, but I believe his title is the director of production. But Adam started as a kid. I'm right out of high school, and he wasn't the most motivated. He did not have a sense of urgency. He would have not won a Team Spirit Award in the first 3, 4, 5 years. Never. He's been there for 17 years now, whatever it is now. And
almost struggled to keep his job.
Yeah,
honestly.
probably almost lost his job. Had some life problems going on. So Adam, we're talking about you right now, but it's okay. Adam's good. And what a story! A man of God. He's a leader in his home, and his family. Made some massive changes in that area of his life, and just woke up one day, decided, I need this job. What happens if, I think what he says is like, he woke up one day and decided, I kind of need this job to feed my family. And what if I think if we actually, like, if I work hard, we can then go home and we're done. Like just like this revelation in his mind, like
back in the day.
Back in the day, right? And so what Adam became respected. People started following him, and he became a 7-foot jumper, and is now leading a large team. So he's really happy to have Adam on the team. And again, not calling out him only, but I just thought about him. Maybe I would call him most improved. I mean, I think I would happily give him that award. I think he would receive that. But that's what's in my mind, and so I'm wondering about is there. I'm just open to any of you guys here. And I'm not sure if there's a good answer to this, but I'm going to throw it out here anyhow. Is there jobs? What are a few things that only a 7-foot jumper can do? Like, what are some things that like, man, I can live with some B players in here. They're just laying down well. They're just doing CAD work. They're just answering the phone, which is sad. I think Dave Ramsey would probably, get completely jacked up when I say that, because he speaks very, very highly against that. He wants everybody. And so I'm asking, maybe an obvious question, but I'm asking, like, is there some things that are not negotiable? Like, you need a 7-foot jumper to do X. Is there anything that comes to your mind in our company right now, or in the trades in general, that you have to be at that level to do this? Any thoughts?
There's people that I call when I want to validate an idea or double check something.
Sure.
There's definitely people I don't call.
Sure, it's fair. It's fair. I was thinking about like when the details really, really matter. When Darren has got some drawing checkers on his team, and an example of that is man, he's got 20 plus engineers on his team that are drawing stuff, and so we need to trust that the person who's going through it, has the last look before it goes to production, which is super.
Cole does a fantastic job,
yeah,
and he catches my mistakes. So
also a very tedious job. So it takes like to have that kind of commitment to keep on going the whole time, because it's to some it'd be very hard for me to do that. I don't think I could do that job. Yeah. Some people are just gifted in different ways that way.
Yeah,
and he is.
But you were talking about 7-footers, right? I think the most important thing for we were talking about, we just recently made a hire in sales that we're excited about. Comes with a lot of experience, and he's going to join the team here in a couple of weeks, and very excited about it. He comes from a significantly larger company, and he has a lot more experience than me in sales, a significant amount more experience, and it's almost intimidating, to have somebody come in and but. What I told my sales managers, I said, he's going to be on the team. He's going to just kind of sit and digest what's going on, and breathe in and feel the culture, that kind of thing. He also said he wants to go out in the shop and weld for a couple of weeks, which I thought was kind of cool. He can't wait to do it, actually. And I said, yeah, it's great, it's awesome. I said, I want to learn from you. I want to learn the things that that are good, and then I also want to keep the things that I think that make PWI sales good. And I want to learn both. I want to actually. I'm actually getting very excited about it, because I'm like, I want you to see what's wrong. But all of that comes with people that over time have plugged in, have gone the extra mile, have done this, And there's guys like that all over the company. I can think of people that have come in over the years that have elevated their department.
100%.
And maybe like. Things like weld quality and that kind of stuff. Like we grew up, we're farm welders here. We just kind of slap some welder and call it good.
I was always better than a farmer welder. The farmers that weld, God bless you. You try, not the best.
But I was saying is, like it's just different. I remember when I was 16 years old, and Ryan told me there's a Clunet elevator, there's a little grain elevator down here. It's not little, it's big. And there was a leak on some stainless tank down there. And Ryan said, Kyle, you know how to weld stainless?
I sent you.
And you said, and I grabbed a stick welder and cruised down in a service truck at 16 and ground out a one little weld that was leaking, a little pinhole leak. And
turns out it's a fuel tank.
Yeah, exactly. And weld this thing here, but it's like kind of like in that mode.
That's why Kyle's a little different than the rest of us. That's why he's got no hair, and yeah, that was a bad day.
Fumes got to him.
Yeah. Anyway, but I'm saying is like, we kind of let's get enough. Let's get enough. Well, we had guys come in that had a tremendous. I think of Aero or something like that. The guys that came in and no weld quality stuff, no processes, procedures for welds, way better than any three of us do. Yeah. And it's awesome. And it's awesome. It's great.
They raised the bar, right?
Yeah.
I believe that. I'm not going to see that word. That literally hit me last night. We say raise the bar all the time. I never put that together until last night, getting ready for the day, and I was thinking, man. That's literally what it is, and so Aero and others like him, and even Matt bringing in Airgas, which is our new national supplier, and great people. They have raised the bar on welding wire, on deposition rates. Trust me, the procedures, all those things are a really big deal, and things that we didn't pay enough attention to even 2 years ago.
Well, we needed more. We just need more guidance and more help and training and stuff.
The more engineered items we build, the more important the welds have gotten. Right.
So the other thing I'd mention too, though, this is maybe as for companies that are growing, that are in the process of growing. I was talking to another business owner yesterday about this kind of stuff. And we were talking about, there's different levels to it. There's different, what seems hard now, if you're a 3-man shop, is way different what a 20 person, 50 person, 100 person, whatever. It gets in. And right now somebody's out there, some CEO of 1,000 employee companies just looking at our company and saying, oh my goodness, your problems are so easy. Yeah. Just do this, and this, you're done. Mm-hmm. But the what I thought one of the big things for us was, I think right around 65 to 70 employees is when we decided that we need a fully dedicated full-time HR person. And it might sound crazy because there's a lot of 10 employee companies that have, or 15 employee companies that have HR people. Okay. Yeah. But we had kind of had that as a part-time job for somebody to do, and half this guy's role, half that guy's role. And it just never really worked. And when I remember,
that was a mistake on our part.
It was a massive mistake. But when we said, you know what, we're going to hire a full-time HR person, that's all they're going to do. Yeah. And it was so scary because it's just straight overhead. It's like, what does this person actually add? Come on, they're not welding, they're not installing, they're not drawing things, not selling things. They're just managing our people. But
how about bringing in 7-foot jumpers? I mean, that's what they're really doing.
What I'm saying
is
it looks like a cost.
Yeah.
It looks like an additional overhead expense. Oh man, it's the wrong way to think about it. Now, there are those hires that can be made by accident that are too much overhead and not that level of a company yet. That can happen too. Yeah. But it was crazy how wrong I was in my head about, like, are we really ready for a HR? It made me think, man, we are stupid for not having an HR person at 40 employees. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just...
we probably would have grown faster had we had better talent coming in today. That team is 3 or 4 people now. And
we just hired a talent...
what's talent coordinator. But again, that team as a whole, they all work towards hiring, bringing in and maintaining good team members, right? So it's
huge.
It is. It's everything. I mean, we would not have a business without great team members, and so the goal for today was to kind of talk about what it looks to hire good team members, but also making sure that you're thinking big enough. I want the people in the trades, the guys who are out there, scared to death of hiring somebody for $75,000 a year or whatever that number is. Maybe it's your first 6-figure hire, whatever that is. Yeah. Freaking out about it.
Are higher, right?
Well, I'm saying whatever it is, wherever you're struggling at, wherever you're stuck at. Okay, it's worth it. Bringing in 7-foot jumpers who truly can, on their own, jump over the bar, and other people start following and saying, "I want to be like Bob or Jim." And it's huge.
But only hire. If you're interviewing a 7-foot jumper, he's got the skill set. He's got everything, and he's going to be a leader. He's going to be a foreman for you, and he's making well over 6 figures. Okay, that's what he needs to get. And considering him, and he has got experience. He's 38 years old, and he's got a long. He's the perfect fit but his attitude is kind of cocky and sucks, then don't hire him.
Yeah.
But it does not just because all the things check off. But if he does not fit your culture and he's got a little bit of arrogance to him, but you're thinking, well, but he's so good. He knows how to do. He's so good. If he's got the wrong attitude, forget every skill set he has.
That's a really good point. We didn't hit that at all, Darren. Thanks for saying that. We're here kind of saying, yeah, Pat Lencioni, great stuff. We want 7-foot jumpers. You cannot have a 7-foot jumper who doesn't follow the values of hunger, humility, and being smart around people. So it's a non-negotiable. A poisonous 7-foot jumper is still poisonous.
I'd much rather have a 5.5 or 6-foot jumper with a good attitude than a 7-foot jumper that is a poison to the whole team and is arrogant and all that stuff.
Yeah. There's also a lot of pretend 7-foot jumpers too out there. There are.
You gotta explain that.
Well, people that have all the right accolades and you can and have this pedigree, this PhD, wherever, that can talk big game and all that kind of stuff. And I've seen those types of people straight up ruin companies. I mean, really, really bad. They come in and they think they know everything. They think they can change this. They know this. They know this. And you just watch the whole culture fall apart. The values fall apart. Their mission is like, sidetracked and whatever. They don't get it. Yeah. But because they knew the right people, were connected to the right people, they jump in
and they have the right letters behind their name.
Yeah. So exactly. So with that, you just got to be careful as leaders when you hire your proposed 7-foot jumper. Make sure that you guys are still aligned on the big things.
That's right.
Make sure you're aligned on values and mission. I would say are two main things. You need to agree on the main big mission. If you don't agree on the main big mission, for us, one of our big mission is direct to consumer, right?
Yeah.
So if I had hired a sales guy that was kind of halfway on direct to consumer, and then he, over the course of the next 2 years, tries to push us to not go direct to consumer.
Consumer, just to clarify that to our listeners. Consumer, it's B2B for us. So consumer, we don't mean the homeowner. We mean the other business who's needing our services directly.
Sure.
Not going through a dealer or reseller network. Just to be clear, I think when people say consumers, they're thinking every house in town. We're not.
Well, house doesn't consume a crane, so it was just
sure. Yeah. I want to make that clear.
I just think it's very, very important that we're still aligned on the big things, and then how to get there is open to whatever critique.
I like that, Kyle. The other thing I thought about when you were saying that is the other version of a fake 7-foot jumper is somebody who's got all those accolades, all those letters behind their name, and this great resume that's just so impressive. They come in and they may not even be arrogant. They may actually be hungry, humble, and smart. You know what they do? They don't get crap done. They just do not get stuff done. They say all the right things. They huddle around in meetings. They're literally that. They could be a 7-foot jumper. They have the knowledge to do so. When at the end of the day, they just don't get the work done. And they're like, there's always this excuse. Well, I had him do it, or I asked her to do it. She didn't get back. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's always confusion and wrestling instead of just getting it done. Well, it's such a big deal. We've seen that a lot. We've seen that a lot.
I agree with you 1,000% on that. Getting it done holds a lot of value, and it sets you apart 100%. So one story I remember recently, it was during 2001 or somewhere in that range. Maybe it was 2022. I'm not sure. But we had a local customer, because of the shortages, because of COVID. And because of everything, this company started producing things in Bristol. I'm not going to say who it was. And we did this job for them. It was a very complicated job that we did. It was and it actually turned out really good. And of course, they shut the whole plant down then, and they're back to importing now. But the point is, I remember walking in. But they paid their bill. And
Did we get paid?
Yeah. But the thing is, we walked into that meeting. I remember walking into that meeting. It was a huge conference room. There was 3 or 4 people from our company, PWI, and there was quite a few from them. And the air, the whole atmosphere in the boardroom, and that it was of arrogance, of extreme arrogance. Like the automotive industry, it wasn't automotive, but every automotive person I've worked with has that same air, okay? Sure. And God bless you if you're in the industry and you're not that way. I'd love to meet you and make sure you're real. But no, so I just the whole thing was just like you are here. You are, and so
you're in our world now.
Yeah. And we're talking about a completely unique product to their application. Yeah. So we're going through this process and they're talking about, and I just kind of like when I didn't know something, I love doing this. When I don't know something, I'll ask, hey, what does that mean? Yeah. And the whole room is like, well, you should know what the B46 line is or the furnace. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, what does it mean? Yeah. They're like, and then I point out, I bring the things down to normalcy.
Normal speak.
And all of a sudden realize that not everyone in the room totally understands what I'm talking about too when we're talking about my product. And it's just that whole thing is that people that just want to act and sound cockily smart and like they know everything, but really they don't know everything, but they're just too arrogant to not say that. And every time that I've done that, every time I've said, hey, I don't know what that means, can you explain that to me? It does not make you look dumb.
Yeah. I agree with you. Because I think authenticity always wins. I think when you just and the values of the Forge here, the podcast is just being raw and authentic and let's just be who we are. I think at the end of the day, that's what wins. It wins with customers. It wins with team members. And when that's who 7-foot jumpers are as well. They're saying, hey boss, how do I learn? How do I win? What does winning look like here? And they go freaking get it done. They do it.
Right.
So the goal for me today was to identify Pat Lencioni's ideal team player and then connect that to the 7-foot jumper analogy that we're now using. And just realizing, having our listeners maybe understand a bit more but be careful that there's not team players in your company that are masked. They're not 7-foot jumpers. They're appearing to be. You thought they were, and they're being covered. Their butts are being covered by a great team who's covering for them. Well, trust me, your team knows, right? The team members know. Look around, ask questions, and listen to your team members. Usually, what happens is when you terminate somebody, you release them in Jesus' name to somewhere to go work somewhere else. There's a sigh of relief in the room. Everybody else like the idiot boss finally gets it. For years I thought he was a 7-foot jumper stud, and I want if you're not leading in a company and you're just listening here, you're just running conduit today. That's what you're doing. You're in the trades. You're just framing a house today. You're just welding a beam today. Be assured that your boss, your supervisor, sees you. You are seen. You are noticed. I don't know any good supervisor who doesn't look around through his team and say, he's a stud, he's a 7-foot jumper, he not so much. And you can see the fakeness. You can see the guys that put their helmet down and just freaking get it done. Yeah, they're it. And so make it very, very clear. 7-foot jumper has nothing to do with your role, nothing to do with your title, nothing to do with status. It has all to do with you doing what you're called to do by God, but called to do by your supervisor, by the people who hired you to get the job done. So yeah, it makes sense.
I also want to add one more note. I think that we kind of talked a lot about 7-foot jumpers outside the company, bringing those in too. We talked a little bit about like how to find good guys and what to look for. But finding the 7-foot jumpers inside our team, which we also discussed, I think one thing that leaders often, because you play that corporate game. Well, if I think a guy underneath me is a 7-foot jumper, I'm gonna kind of maybe, like he's good, but he's maybe not as good as me, okay? Because I'm his leader and that kind of thing. And I think that's such a bad way to look at it. Always think, if this guy could be up, beside me, lateral to me, or he could be ahead of me, who cares? I want this guy to win because I want the company to win. It's just selfishness. It's just pride. Yeah. And so I say that, obviously, good leaders are always going to find those guys out there, but make sure you're being that leader. If you're a leader, make sure you're the guy that says, I'm okay with that guy being higher than me or promoted. And also the thing is, if you're going to promote somebody from within, always make sure that it really hurts to replace that guy. You don't want to promote somebody that isn't difficult to replace. Right. If it's an easy replacement, you probably shouldn't put the guy in this position. Sure. Yeah. It should be difficult to replace. Sure. If they're so busy in getting so much work done themselves, it should be gut wrenching to try to fill that gap because of the hole they left because they're that good.
How many 7-foot jumpers wrestle with that. I think there's a false. It's just a false mindset. It's a scarcity mindset rather than an abundance mindset. The best leaders are working themselves out of a job, saying, "Look, honestly, like they got this. Like they can do this without me. I could leave tomorrow, leave for a week, and it's getting done without me." And so, as a boss, when I see somebody stepping up and it's running without him, and I actually can pull him into a different role, and his team, there's replacements behind him. The bench is already built behind him. That's a 7-foot jumper to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I think there's multiple ways to look at it. I think that like to me, a 7-foot jumper is someone that is I have one guy that's on my team. He went the day he was hired. He said, "I never want to get promoted. I want to sit in the corner, do the same thing every day. Yeah. That's all I want to do." And I'm telling you, I consider him a 7-foot jumper. Sure. And he said, "I don't." Now he's getting his pays. He's getting raises, but he is still doing the same thing. He's happy with that. So I mean, you had said, yeah, it can be someone's promoted, sure, but it does not mean, oh man, the guy is, he might not delegate that well, but he is a very productive worker.
I didn't want to be redundant or actually, talk opposite of what I said earlier. I meant one version of that is somebody who's not concerned about what Kyle is, who's not concerned about the role, the title. He's just going to do his best, and he's going to bring people up with him. And I think the person you're talking about has done that. I think he's raised the bar, whether he's a leader or not.
But he's not looking to be him as boss.
That's right,
because he wants to stay right here.
That's right. And why would you, again, promote somebody into their incompetence? We don't want to do that. So if you're watching today, if you're listening today, I hope you were encouraged. We're all looking for 7-foot jumpers in our business. We're all looking for great team members. Make sure that you're not, there's not people hiding in your company who are being covered by a great team who's covering for them. And make sure you have 7-foot jumpers that are being raised up in your company and being elevated to that position. So thanks for joining us today in The Forge. Have a great day.